Welcome to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Vickers. Similar to how military and special ops use remote viewing to access secret information, I communicate directly with universal beings to better understand creation, existence, and evolution. For the past 20 years, I've worked with thousands of people around the world, helping them gain access to the highest level information possible so they can achieve their ultimate goals. Right now, I've partnered with the Creator and some of the most influential beings in existence to bring you the story of creation. My goal is to create a world where you remember who you are and why you exist. Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. Today is part 19 of the story of creation. And let's see who's here. And again, this is all live, completely non-scripted. And so, yeah, we're going to see which universal beings are here and want to share information with you today about who you are and where we came from. So we've got the first stream of angelics again. So again, those are the universal beings who govern matter. So the concept of physical existence in our human understanding, but matter in the sense of, oh, it's really cool. So we're going to talk about travel and movement from a universal perspective today. And so this is really, really misunderstood on so many levels because, humanity, the mind, we've been trained, right? We've been trained to believe that travel is about going from one, like point A to point B kind of thing. So it's going from one specific physical place to another. And that was never the original intention of travel. The original intention of travel. So the Creator is here and they're working together because the Creator set the original intention, but yes and no, because he worked together with the first stream of angelics, who it was their baby. Their job was to create matter, but they needed to work together. And again, the second stream will come in a few minutes, but right now we're working on the foundationary aspects of travel itself. And so ultimately, the original intention of travel was to explore concepts beyond our control and understanding. Now, control does not mean I'm going to tell it what to do and it's going to react, okay? Not that level of control, which is ultimately what our belief is currently. The control that they're talking about, and particularly the first angelic, what he's saying is control wasn't a thing. It didn't matter. It was an understanding that you were exploring the concept of exploration, okay? And so exploration is an understanding of moving between vibrations. Now, this is really important, okay? Because every single universal experience has its own vibration. Every single universal being has its own vibration, and different matter has its own vibration. And so this is how we were able to be manipulated in this concept, if you will, of travel and what it actually means to move from one place to another, okay? Is that originally it was about an exploration, Okay. And so when your intention is to explore anything, right? Because originally, we could explore the entire planet if we wanted to, the entire universe, from one position in the universe. We didn't have to go anywhere because all of the answers are held within the vibration of energy. Okay. And so this remote viewing, astral travel. It's all of that where you stay in one place and you are brought. It's like not even brought, it's you become open to the vibrations of the other location. And then so this is the interesting part, right? Is you have to understand and work with the energy itself so that the energy of that location can communicate with your energy so that you have a full representation of what's going on. Okay, so this is ultimately how remote viewing works, right? These humans, these people who are excellent at it, have fine-tuned their ability to communicate through energy. That's really what it is. So not only are they understanding how, it's really cool because it's a finite exploration, right? So they need to understand how their energy receptors work, right? So how information comes in through the universe, because it doesn't just come in like a movie and here it is. It is all through energy and its different vibrations, and you have to work with them. You have to allow this information to come in different ways. And it's a practice. I mean, a lot of the times it happens naturally, but then you have to refine your ability, okay? But what's really interesting is that once you refine it, it is like watching a movie. It is that easeful, if you will, okay? But again, you have to understand how the energy itself works. And so it's really the same concept that that travel came to be, okay? So travel was, again, an exploration in existence itself. And what that means is, as humans, right, as souls, human souls in this universe, our mission, our whole job in existence is to explore our own potential, period. And so the only law in the universe, okay, is free will. And so that means everything is possible and you're meant to explore your potential. Now, I want you to feel into that for a minute, because what they're showing me, they want you to understand if your job is to explore your potential and there are no rules right now, what would you be doing differently? If you actually believed that concept, because that's the key. That's the key to everything, is most people don't believe it. And some people will say that they believe it, but they're still holding it as a concept. And a concept is just an idea that you're like, yeah, maybe that's true. When it becomes a belief, okay, is when you transcend the physical barriers that block you. And this is where, right now, humanity is struggling in every way possible, because we are holding on to our beliefs with a death grip because, well, for a number of reasons, right? I mean, we've been trained from very young ages that if you speak out of turn, or if you speak of things that, I'm going to use the words the way they're showing me, are not real, you will be shunned, you can be murdered, you can be laughed at, you can be judged harshly. And the reality is that was strategically done, right? I mean, think about, they're showing me like witches that were burned on the stake, anyone and everyone who's gotten even close to the truth, even close to it, has been killed. And the reality is that's where we struggle, because instinctively we know that. So we don't want to get close to the truth. And yet we are craving the truth more than anything. Okay? And so what they're showing me, and why this is so vitally important, specifically as it relates to travel, okay, is because no one can confine you when you understand this concept. So just feel into that for a minute, okay? The truth is, in order for you to reach this state of belief, okay? Because when you reach that state of pure belief, your vibration changes completely. So you are no longer impacted by the belief systems that, in this case, that particularly pertain to travel and location. And here's the important part, your physical vibration, the physical self, your physical being and your cells. Because energetically, we understand that our cells can do whatever we want them to do. Just feel that for a minute. When you recognize that your physical body has the capacity to do anything, how are you going to approach life and existence? What is going to change? And then what happens is, most of us, when we are faced with those bigger ideas, we go into the fear. So it stays as a concept. We resist that shift where our vibration changes. Okay. Now, they're showing me, a lot of people go through this where that they'll start to go into the shift because they want to believe it, and they want to allow the transition to occur where their cells start to become more vibration than static energy. Now, this is more of a higher vibration. Now, what I mean by that is, and again, we're keeping this really, really simple without big scientific terms because we don't need them. And all they do is confuse the matter, because then you get stuck in your head. Okay. So the difference between the two is, when you're in a state of pure belief in your own potential, okay, your vibration is so high that your cells will do anything and everything that follow your exact intention. Okay. This is how you have people who are great manifestors, right? Like, they go in and they hyper focus on one specific thing and then they create it, right? These are the results of that. But it's important to understand that you can do it with anything and everything, because we're not living in the way that we were created to. We're living in static energy. And this is the difference, okay? When you don't believe, when you just hold an idea as a concept, okay, you're in static vibration mode. You are not in pure vibration of your soul. You're in a belief system. This is where you're locked in. And it's almost like there's a ceiling above you, and it doesn't matter how hard you try, vibrationally, you can't go up anymore. That's what beliefs do. They lock you in. Okay. Or sorry, that's what concepts do. So ideas, concepts, they lock you in to static energy. So what happens is your energy is bouncing off the walls. You know how this feels because you're frustrated, you're annoyed, you're jealous, you're angry, you're judgmental, because what happens is all those things you want. Okay, we're naturally going to want different experiences. Why? Because we were created to do that. How do we know that? because literally every human in existence was created to explore your potential. So if you're meant to explore your potential, you're going to want to experience different things. It's not bad. In fact, it's the foundation of your existence. But when you try to do that inside all of these limiting beliefs, this is where it becomes frenetic. Because what frenetic means is that your want energy is banging against your limits that you've set. Now, I say you've set, but you will often, people will often say, I didn't set them. This person told me I can't do this, and this person told me I can't do that. Anyone and everyone, right? We've got an education system, a religious system, a financial system, a medical system, and a government system that all want you to fall in line with every single one of their beliefs. Why? Because then they can control you. They keep you in a state of frenetic energy. And whatever they feed into frenetic energy grows in your space. It's what makes you feed anxiety, depression, fear, judgment, anger, self-loathing. Okay? Those are all frenetic energies. Those are all signs that your beliefs are not your beliefs. You are carrying an idea or a concept that someone else placed in front of you, and you said, that sounds great. I will follow that. And let me explain it to you, okay? It's not like someone tried to gift it to you. It's conversations you've had your whole life about the same type of things, right? How do we get these beliefs? We get these beliefs from the media. We get these beliefs through our family, through education system, right? All of the things we hear and we're like, oh, I should be afraid of that. Okay, I'm afraid. Done. Okay. Oh, I can't do that because people can't do that. Right. Okay. I believe I can't do that. Done. This is exactly what has impacted the concept of universal experience and movement. Okay. So movement is a universal energy. Again, if you have not read Believe, I highly, well, it's honestly, it's all the energies that went into the creation of your soul. And if you want access to the 9 of them, it's a great read. Now, why this is all really important, okay? So every time they share a concept, we go backwards first and we explore the foundation of that concept, because the concept of travel, right? So going from one location to another is how we see the physical aspects now, right? These are the concepts that we hold, right? Like you have to get into a car or a train or some type of vehicle, or you're going to walk or you're going to ride your bike, but you have to physically create the momentum to propel yourself in a particular direction. Okay? That's what we've been told. And that's where everybody's like, and when I say everybody's like, okay, what I mean is as a collective, that's now how we act. That is now how we approach it. So if I said to you, you can fly from one continent, you can travel ultimately from one continent to continent. God, I can't even use words today. From one continent to another, simply by setting an intention to leave one and arrive at another, you'd look at me like I had 5 heads. And yet that's how we were created. So you could stay in one place, explore the entire planet, explore the entire universe through the vibrations of energy, and have a full experience. Okay? You would be able to taste the water, feel the water, see the water, hear it, all of your senses, right? Because again, all of those are in alignment with existence. And yet you can also go there through the vibrations of energy. Okay? This is how Well, this is how the pyramids were actually built, was setting an intention for physical matter to be placed in specific locations, right? Again, there's a lot of people who believe that you have to hold that intention and right, like even okay, so let's go back for a minute and think about how our history has been depicted, right? In history books of how these, you know, pyramids were created, and they have, hundreds or thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, they'll say, you know, people, right, with these big, huge logs, and they're shifting the logs to move these massive stones. Okay. So because of that, you have the impression in your mind that it is humans using physical brute force that put them in those places. Okay? So what happens is to change that belief, okay? A lot of people will say, okay, well, maybe it's energy through levitation, but your brain is still attached to the concept, okay, that you're still going to have to use brute force with energy. So you're going to have to hold intention as that piece of stone is lifted, and you're going to then have to hold it as it moves across the planet. And it's going to like, we have this belief that moving energy, shifting energy, like, right, we want everything to be super dramatic. And so we have this belief that, oh, we got to hold it, and then it's going to shift, and our muscles are going to be shaking as it's moving, right? Okay. So it doesn't work like that. Okay. This is what I mean. When you want to shift your belief from something we've been taught, right, that we know is completely ridiculous, really, because it's not in alignment with existence, and yet our rational mind knows that, and we're like, but the other, like, how is that possible? We consistently question possibility and our own potential because of these lies that we've been told. So to let go of the beliefs is really challenging, because it means our brain is going to go through, it's like flipping through a book, right? And you've got 500 pages of the details of that belief. You didn't really think, and you didn't even have the awareness, right? That when you see them moving them with the logs, you didn't think about the brute force more than a passing gesture. And so that's how you've transferred that into the energetic aspects as well. Okay. And this is where what the creator is saying is, this is a depiction of how it's really cool, because the angelics are showing me this was their goal, was to create beliefs that were so, it's like this steel spike, but it is into the earth. It is so big and so deep, but all around the top of the spike, it's blackness. And what they are showing me, what they mean by this visual is their intention, this is really important words and language, and very, very specific. Their intention was to lock your beliefs into a space of darkness where you couldn't actually see the light. You couldn't actually see the truth and the understanding of who you were. And so this is what I mean when I share the difference between a concept and a belief. Okay? If you have a concept that it's possible, but if you have all of these, 500 pages of how that one concept has to unfold, needs to be delivered, then you're not in the belief of the beauty and the fullness of it. And I want you to take that and turn it around for a minute. What they're showing me is let yourself look at yourself that way. You're literally here to explore potential, your potential, the potential of the universe, and everything, every single thing in existence is at your fingertips. That means if you need awareness of something or someone, you literally set your intention and the energy, okay, from the universe will share it with you. And your energy, it's like spidey senses, okay? But not because, again, spidey senses, we've been told. So I want you to let go of that concept of how the universe is communicating with you. Because it doesn't look like a movie and a film until you get it and understand it. And then all of a sudden, it's like this natural film that just shows up all the time. But the point of all of this is travel on a universal plane is about exchanging one vibration for another. Okay? So now how we go through that on the physical is, okay, I've got to actually get in my car. I've got to make sure there's gas in the car, and then I have to drive the car, or I have to get in a plane, or whatever it is, right? I have to get on my bike. I have to propel myself forward. Again, brute force. Interesting, right? The reality is we don't need brute force to travel. You don't need to propel yourself at all. And this is why you're stuck. If you're wanting to have these experiences and you can't, it's because you're trying to propel yourself, right? That's a want. That's need deep in want. And it won't happen because universal energy does not work with want. It works with pure intentions. So if your intention is to explore another aspect or location of existence, you can either travel there or you can bring the awareness of it to you, whichever feels right at the moment, right? Whichever is more effective and efficient for your mission. And your mission is to explore your potential. Okay. Now, remember, your mission is to explore your potential, and we do nothing as universal beings that does not bring us joy. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows all the time. Yes, we have challenges because we understand that joy comes from overcoming our awarenesses of what we're capable of. Okay. Joy comes from that. But it's understanding that travel universally is about a change in vibration. So really what you're needing to do is understand how to communicate with universal energy and restore that ability in you because you have it. It's naturally encoded into you, right? And here's the reality. If you think this whole concept is crazy, then that is your belief. It will never happen for you. And that's great. Just keep going, riding trains and cars and buses and all of those things. I love that for you. For you who goes, I know I'm meant to do this. This is a part of my experience. Keep allowing yourself to feel into all of those rules that you have in your beliefs that tell you it's not possible. Keep going through them. That's what we're doing right now. That's what humanity is doing, right? 2025 is the year of self-respect. And self-respect is about recognizing your own potential. So anywhere and everywhere that your potential is being blocked is actually kind of blowing up in your face right now. And it's supposed to do that. So it's not about getting frustrated and annoyed when it does. It's about recognizing that it's another opportunity for you to see more truth and feel more universal energy. Okay, there's 3 different kinds of energy. There's physical energy, soul energy, and universal, right? So travel of any sort, okay? So again, moving from one experience vibrationally to another is universal energy. So you have to understand how each level of energy works and what their what's the word I'm looking for? What their nuances are. That is not the right word, but I'm sure you get the idea. Anyways, so today is really about understanding concepts and the differences between how your brain views truth and how the universe explores truth. Okay? So I thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back next time with part 20. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers. If you're one of the select few who felt the depth and energy of universal wisdom in this episode, I invite you to join our private community, the Authentic Human Collective, where episodes are recorded live and the conversation and exploration go far beyond what the public is ready to hear. Find all the details at michellevickers.com.